posture vis-a-vis Russia. And we have some Russians behaving very badly in the UK. I know you've been on that story for days. And we have the president taking a sharply different note than his now deposed Secretary of State. And a few minutes ago from his representative at the UN. Let's watch that together and talk about it on the other side.
The United States believes that Russia is responsible for the attack on 2 people in the United Kingdom using a military-grade nerve agent. This is a defining moment. Time and time again, member states say they oppose the use of chemical weapons under any circumstance. One member stands accused of using chemical weapons on the sovereign soil of another member. The credibility of this council will not survive if we fail to hold Russia accountable.
Now, just for a point of contrast, let me read you the White House readout of the president's call with Theresa May. President Trump agreed with Prime Minister May that the government of the Russian Federation must provide unambiguous answers regarding how this chemical weapon developed in Russia came to be used in the UK. The 2 leaders agreed on the need for consequences for those who use these heinous weapons. This sounded to me a whole lot like the president's articulation of Vladimir Putin's excuse about Russian meddling. Well, he said this, and I believe that. This is not the sort of harsh words that he has for gang members. These are not the harsh words that he has for Jeff Sessions when he's mad at him for not staying on and shepherding the Russia investigation. These are not the harsh words he has for his own now deposed Secretary of State when he engages in talks of being a diplomat and dealing with North Korea. I mean, how does this read in the UK?
Well, you know, that comment from Nikki Haley, I want to just say, finally, we've heard a message like that from the United States. And this is why, you know, it is so important. What the British are saying here is that this is a Russian attack on the United Kingdom because it put UK citizens, not just a former Russian spy, in danger with a nerve agent that is banned in war because it is so dangerous. You know, I was listening to Republican Eric Swalwell, Representative Eric Swalwell earlier, and him talking about what do the Russians have on Donald Trump. Now, no comment on that, but it puts into context the issue that we're facing, because you've got to remember the UK is the US's closest ally in the world. If the Russians are behind this attack, it is an attack by proxy, if you like, on the United States. And the only response that makes any sense from the US is condemnation, the kind of condemnation. Let me just, that we heard from Nikki Haley, let me just read to you more of what she said. She said, if we don't take immediate concrete measures to address this now, chemical weapons could be used, she said, here in New York.
And let me just stay on this with you, Keir, because I traveled with George Bush the year that the G20 was held in Scotland, and they were gathered there, all the leaders were gathered there for what they called London's 9/11, I think it was July 7th attacks on the buses and trains. Yeah. And to see these 2 leaders, whatever you think of them, Tony Blair and George Bush, neither man addressed the world, neither man addressed their countries without first sitting together with their national security advisors. And the point being, an attack on London was an attack on all of us. How far away are we from that?
Well, listen, this was a attempt of assassination of a former Russian spy who was accused of working for British intelligence. Remember that British intelligence is part of a group called the Five Eyes. It is a combination of different intelligence organizations, including U.S. intelligence. Effectively, what the Russians have done, if the British are right, and they seem absolutely convinced, is they have targeted a former Russian spy who was working to inform the West, including America. And again, it comes back to this fundamental issue. It looks as if potentially either the Kremlin thought they could get away with this, that they wouldn't be caught, if you like, or that they didn't care. And if they didn't care, if America and the UK don't take tough enough action, then the question is what do the Russians do next? And it's a pretty frightening one.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but I detect that you have an answer to what you think the British think. Do you think the British government now is concerned that perhaps in the American president that they have right now, they have someone who might not care?
The problem is, you know, it's a bit more profound than that. The British government is very weak right now. They are trying to manage this incredibly difficult process of Brexit. They are divided from Europe through that. And they are looking at the White House and worrying, deeply worrying about what is happening to their ally at a time when they need their closest ally the most. And that really, I think, paints a picture of how dangerous all of this is for the Western alliance, if you like. And if the Russians are responsible for what happened here, then the kind of